Secretly recorded from deep inside the bowels of a decommissioned missile silo, we bring you the man, one single man who wants to bring light to the darkness and dark to the lightness. Although he's not always right, he is always certain. So now, with security protocols in place, the protesters have been forced back behind the barricades and the blast doors are now sealed. Without further delay, let me introduce you to the host of Hutcast, Mr. Tim Hutner.
Thank you, Sergeant at Arms. You can now take your post. Welcome, and today on Hutcast, we're going to have a conversation today about my trip across the southern United States of America. Took the RV out and went for some pretty good earned vacation. Big rigs and driving, big rigs and RV driving. And last but not least, we're going to do a segue into our next mini-series coming up. We're going to talk about the beheading, but in a tasteful way. The poor woman's family, I can only imagine what she's going through. So, Hutcast will be back in just a moment. Stand by.
For home and workplace comfort, we here at Dependable Heating and Air Conditioning have over 30 years of residential and commercial experience in replacing, repairing, and doing general maintenance on your heating and cooling equipment. Call the experts at Dependable Heating and Air Conditioning. For all your indoor comfort needs, we are located in Coon Rapids and serve the entire Twin Cities area. Call one of our professional technicians today at 763-757-5040. That's Dependable Heating and Cooling. Again, 763-757-5040, Dependable Heating and Air.
Okay, guys. All right, so I've had a kind of a sabbatical going here, and really we were just cruising around for the southern United States. I've had a month off. Well, not a month, but a month off of recording, and I just wanted to catch up with everybody. This is going to be the first or the last of an independent before we have our mini-series coming up, and we start recording that on Monday, Tuesdays, and then we'll release them in a sequence of events for self-defense purposes. Again, as I mentioned in my intro, my trip, the big rig driving, RV driving, and then, of course, that dreadful beheading in Shakopee. So, let's start out with my trip. It's not like I want to get on the radio here and have a conversation about just me and my trip, but there's some things that you guys, as drivers, and especially if you don't drive big rigs or RVs or big diesel stuff, you don't get. And I've had plenty of windshield time in the last 10, 12 days to enlighten you guys. So, without further ado, let's start this out and have a conversation about this. Big rig drivings. I know we've discussed it in the past on certain other podcasts, what to watch, what not to watch for, where to be, etc., etc. Now, we took a trip to Grand Ole Opry, Tennessee, Missouri, Branson, and let me tell you something, Branson was an awful rockin' time. So was Tennessee. We went to the Opryland, and you try to look up Opryland on the interweb, and you're thinking, okay, well, I'm just going to see what they have to offer. And there's so much, there's not a clear definition of Opryland. So that was second in our trip. So let me start with second in our trip, because really, you have to be there to understand it. If you've been to Opryland, it's like a Valley Fair or a World's Fair all wrapped under one dome. And when you get in the dome, you see this... have you ever seen that show, The Dome with Pauly Shore, and he lives in this dome with these people for so many years and months, and it reminds you of that. And it's pretty awesome. So if you get a chance to go to the Grand Ole Opry, Opryland, I would say spend the money. Go check it out. It's like a little mini infrastructure within a structure. It's just totally awesome. I mean, it's hard to describe, but yet you can't miss it. You got to at least be there. Can you go back there twice? Maybe so. Again, we went to our RV, so it was like we had a campground not too far from there, and it was a pretty short drive. But Opryland itself, it's an event. Didn't help. I had a bum ankle at the time, and I'm driving around on this little scooter deal. So you got to put the miles on. You got to kick your way up and make everything happen. But we did it. A lot of places to eat in there. They keep it clean. There's facilities everywhere. There's places to eat. I mean, holy cow. Look it up. I would highly advise Opryland, USA. They have the show at Grand Ole Opry, and we went there and stand in the circle. We got our picture taken. We did the tourist thing. And the Grand Ole Opry, all I can say is wow. A lot of people stood in that circle, and the circle is this little piece of material on stage where, since way back when they first started this, Hank Williams Jr. days, all those, way back in the 30s, 40s, this little patch of material, a lot of great people have stood on, a lot of musicians. And not starstruck, it's just holy cow. Got to see that too. Do the tour. Luckily, COVID wasn't a big thing for us down there during this, but it was really, really, really decent to see. I can't explain it. It's just something you got to see. It's worth the money. Do the deal. Check it out. All right, moving backwards in time, we left Branson, Missouri, to be in Tennessee, the Grand Ole Opry stuff. And I'll tell you that was a great time. Seen a couple shows down there. We've seen the Hay Goods. The Hay Goods. It's a family organization. They're super talented. And I'll tell you what, their light show, every time I go down there, it's a step up. And you think, well, they can't get any better. But you know what? Every time you see them, they step that game up, and holy cow, it's real. The sound was great. The Hay Goods, Branson, Missouri. Traffic on Main Street, you better not be in a hurry. Even the siren guys couldn't get around fast enough with those. Holy cow. The hills out there, so of course, like I said, we went in our RV, and it's 35 foot, so there's no sneaking around Branson with your bus. You're it. Luckily, we had a tow behind us, and we used that where we could. But the Hay Goods, they've got these things called TripAdvisor. TripAdvisor is a function of what's out there, what's cool, what's neat, and I posted on TripAdvisor some pictures of it. Pretty good spot to be. So check out TripAdvisor and the Hay Goods in Branson's most popular area casino. I don't even know what you call that place down here. It's kind of a show. It's definitely a show, not a casino, but it is great. It is a great family show. Pyrotechnics, lasers, smoke, lights. Oh yeah, it's got it all. So hands down, great review. They got from me anyway. The Hay Goods in Branson, Missouri. Okay, so we've backed up. We are now in Branson, Missouri. Now let's talk about some windshield time. But first, let's talk about the visitation and expectations of these two areas. Maybe you don't figure, I want to do this, but I do want to do it. But, again, it's worth the time. It's worth the investment. You can't expect to hit a show every night because there's just not enough time. So people, manage your expectations and be conservative about what you can and can't see. Spend a little extra time in there. Do what it takes to get that time. Remember to have some relaxed time. Don't be on the rush, the 24/7 magic mile of everything, because you'll regret it. I don't believe that the Hay Goods themselves do it every night. They might be every night, but check their schedule. But again, don't load yourself up with that running around and making sure that you get time to see what you want to see. All right, so we are going to move forward. So now let's talk about some of the things we've seen on our trip. Difficult to explain, but I'll do the best I can. A lot of windshield time, a lot of time across the great southern states. We pick a lot of freeways to drive on, interstates. Once in a while we'll hit a side road, but that's always about a detour. Nothing too big about, eventless like that. But here's the gig. We're going to cover some stuff in here that people just don't pay attention to as a small car driver. Somebody who sits in the left lane on cruise and don't pay attention to the guys who got to get on and off this freeway. Let me state a fact here. We can't see all the way around us all the time. We can see most of it, but you can't see a blind spot when you hover and hang in that corner of your mirror. Neither can a truck. So figure out where you're going to be, and don't be next to a big rig or an RV or anything that can't see. The good thing about the big rigs, the tractors and trucks, is most of those guys are DOT approved, they're licensed, they're guys like that. But the RV guys are a little different. And here's why. When you see someone slumped over a steering wheel and they're 80 years old and they're driving a 40-foot bus, you do not want to be around that guy when he's driving. Not for his sake, for yours. He's going to turn in. He's got to get over. You got a car on the side of the road. There's just a number of things that you don't want to be in the left lane trying to pass him at the set cruise of 65 miles an hour or whatever it just might be. Get past him, get away from him, get around him. 9 times out of 10, those guys are in the right lane, unless the road's so bad it's beating the snot out of their truck. Then the RV guys will move over. And they have every right to move over. If the road's destroyed or damaged, why would you put your bus through that? So if you're the guy behind him who didn't want to be in behind him because you decided to stay at home 10 minutes earlier, get up earlier. Should have been in front of him. Oh, wait. That logic don't work for you? Tough. He has every right to be in the left lane as you do, especially if he's passing somebody. So if he's passing somebody at 70 and you want to pass him at 80, but you're all upset because he's in your left lane at 80 because he's passing somebody at 70, okay, who trumps here? Who's the guy who has the right? Is it you because you're going faster? Or is it he because he's bigger? Law states you pass somebody in the left lane. The passing lane, i.e., people, move over. But here's the funny part. I'll pass somebody at 70. I'll get in the left lane. Road's super smooth over there, especially when you're driving a bus. And here's some toad road who's hanging behind you who wants to do 75, but you're the guy in the way. So he's all pissy about it. Blasts by you, cuts you off as he goes by you just to make 5 more miles an hour, and then he sits in the left lane while there's traffic behind him. Hold on here. You're the dork who wants to ride somebody's ass, but then when you get around that person who upsets you, now someone's going to ride your ass, you're going to sit in the left lane. Oh, if you're that guy, I want to see you on the road. Because you have no less rights to do it than the guy who's in front of you. So, piss off if you don't like it. All right. Moving on from that little rant. Yeah, let's say that happened a lot on the trip. Right lane, for a perfect example. You're supposed to move over for stalled cars. Emergency vehicles, whatever it is on the side of the road, you're the law in most states, and it says it on the freeway, move over. It's the law. But you're trying to get over, you have X amount of time, you get some snot jockey in the left lane who thinks he's going to sit on his cruise control, playing with his phone, and hanging in your zero, your blind spot. So he's at your, 7, 8, 9 o'clock position, and he's diddle-dorking around. You can't get over, so now you got to hit the binders or you got to slow way down or whatever it is so you don't, you got a law to follow here. And this snot crabble is over there. It's like, hold on here. Then you start squeezing on him. You push him over a little. Oh, boy, does that get you some looks. Aren't you the Grinch that stole Christmas? I love it. I absolutely love it when they get all pissy with that. Okay. It's not a question of if we move over. It's when and where you are in relation to us when we do it. I see the truckers all the time. They'll squeeze these guys off. They'll get just enough in front of them, and they'll pinch them. Oh, the middle fingers go up then. Oh, you bastard. You cut me off. No, you're the dork who's in his blind spot, who should have moved over because you weren't smart enough to know how to drive your car. Or in your area of operation. Your AO. All right. Well, that's enough of that stuff. Okay, so a lot of road time. A lot of windshield time. It was awesome. Good to get away. Gives me a break from the Hutcast so I can take some time and not be editing and working all the time, because coming up we got some really good stuff coming up, and I'm hoping that this new mini series will float your boat. And if it does, awesome, because the guy who's coming in, he is a personal defense trainer. I'll mention that in my last outro at the end of the show. What else do we do? Oh, here's a good one. So we're driving along, minding our own business, right? We're in the bus, and we're just kind of, hanging out, me and my nephew and my wife, and we're just kind of doing our thing. Traffic jam. Not a little one. Somewhere in the middle of Missouri. Huge traffic jam. This was the Godzilla of traffic jams. So 45 minutes later, we start to roll up, and it starts to disperse, and there's a car on the side of the road. In front of that car, there's a guy with a tuner, the 40-inch exhaust pipe on the back, and he's got a 2-inch pipe going into it, one of those guys. The camber on his wheels are in about 90 degrees, and he just rides on the inside of the tire. Well, one of those dorks. But behind that car was this, looked like a Windstar minivan type of thing. And we thought, well, that's weird, because it's 2-lane, and we couldn't move over, but it was going so slow that there was no, we were as slow as we could get. State Patrol was on scene, and we creep up to the side, and we're just kind of putzing along, and I turn my head, and I see some girl in this car, in the back of the car. Well, out comes this female trooper, run into her car, no medical on scene. I look again, and this gal has got her knees up and her feet in look like the spare tire hump well of the car, this little minivan, and there's blankets on the side of the road that everybody, so they can't see in, but when you sit in a big rig, you can see everything. I mean, you look down, you might think you'd be running down without anything on, and we can see that. So for you guys who run around for shorts on or nothing on, don't be a dork, put your clothes on. But here's this gal, buck naked to the wind, waist down, knees up, ankles up. Oh, you guessed it, she's having a baby. Well, that's a new one. The wife looked at me, I looked at her, and I went, holy crap. Of course, my nephew was in the back of the rig sleeping, because, that's what he was doing the whole trip, sleeping out and hanging out while in between events. But this gal had eyes the size of, oh gosh, silver dollars. They were just huge. And I mentioned earlier that the state trooper come running out of that car, and I'm thinking for her that she never thought today she'd be delivering a baby on the side of the road. She was. Of course, by that time, the traffic had opened up, and we couldn't see, but we were ready to, just whatever we needed to do, we could have helped. But at that point, it was like, nobody's there. Just the State Patrol, the female State Patrol, and this gal in the back of the car. Of course, the blankets toward the side, so most people couldn't see. Holy cow. I put a lot of miles on the road, and I got to say, that's the first time I've seen that. Understand why there was the Godzilla of backups. Well, nobody really knew what was going on. They just kind of moved along. But holy cow, what a crazy, crazy day that was. There we were, again, minding our own business, and ankles up, knees up, eyes a silver dollar. The only thing I didn't hear was push, push. Remember the old Eddie Murphy deal when he did that in one of his shows? Holy crap! I can tell you what, that was a new one for me. So I kind of felt glad that she had someplace to be, but, I guess maybe the traffic jam got to her too. She got stuck in it because the tuner kid had a flat tire. The whole world had to stop. And maybe she just couldn't get past it fast enough before she went into her contractions. Oh, don't worry. I'm going to put this on as a tag in the sound file of this episode, because again, you don't ever see that. So roadside, give birth. I don't know. Maybe for the taxi guys, they do it all the time. You see it on TV. But for me, it was a new one. For the wife, it was a new one. Okay. Getting past that, which was a pretty good one, by the way. We had a heck of a trip. One thing we did notice was, again, the merging was a huge thing. People passing you in the left lane with the cruise on, did a little dorking around, not paying attention to get out of the way. Roadside debris, tires. Now, we have been doing this a long time, and we've covered a lot of states. I don't think for forever we've seen the kind of debris we've seen on this trip. I think some of them call them road snakes, tire blowouts, just chunks of rubber everywhere, and not a little bit. This is a crap ton of material. Iowa had a bunch. Missouri had a bunch. Pick a state. Anything on the interstate was just covered with these road snakes and pieces of material. Once in a while, you'll see a fender or a lip or something of the truck. When that tire goes, it's violent. It pops and it starts ripping everything around it. It's gone. So it was quite an adventure. And needless to say, we had a great time. Let's see, we covered watch out for rigs. Let me watch out for tow vehicles. I need to cover this too, because a lot of people don't understand that when an RV is pulling a dinghy, a tow vehicle, whatever it is, their cameras can only go so far. So if you're one of those people that cruise control next to a dinghy and aren't paying attention, you're going to get pinched. Because he'll hit you. He won't even care. Probably won't even notice it until he gets somewhere and realizes there's scratches or your paint is on his paint. And, oh boy, you just got to move. You just got to get out of the way. Get past him, get around him, go behind him. Just never, ever ride next to him. Because that'll catch you. All right, see, big fuel and rigs, proper education and such. I'm reading my show notes here. Tow vehicles, watch out for towing in big city. Here's a big one. Let's say you're in downtown Missoula, Montana. Let's elevate this. Golden Arches. You're going to be in Missouri. St. Louis, Missouri. And you got a dinghy on. Have you ever seen the roads in St. Louis, Missouri? It's like spaghetti on steroids. Go left, turn right, take a quarter, do this, do that, be the left lane. You can't possibly get a rig over fast enough, especially during rush hour, which I hate to drive any city during rush hour. Drive around rush hour. Go left, go right, turn in. And now you got to do this with a dinghy. And not nobody. There's a lot of people that get you. They've driven big rigs, so they get out of your way. But you get these snot noses. These open-toed sandal, hemp-wearing T-shirt, man bun, on the phone people. Get in your way. Oh yeah. Again, it's not if, it's when I move over, and you push them over. That pisses them off. But you know what? Hey, you weren't thinking. So, for the God's sakes of people, if you're in a inner city, and you see an RV with pulling a dinghy, give that guy some room. All right. Someone sent me a message. Should I do Hutcast on the road? And should we do a segment or a series of campgrounds? You know what? Send me a message on Hatebook. Buzzsprout is a good service, but Facebook, everybody's got it. So if you want to see a Campcast, throw me a message, because my last show went 76,000 views. And thank you for all who are listening for doing that. I don't know what some of you guys across the road care, what's going on in the States here, let alone Minneapolis, but hey, thanks. Thank you very much for tuning in. Okay. When I come back, we're going to go on to what to bring on a big, long trip. Wow, there's just, that's a list in itself. Maintenance for your rig, what your DOTs on your tires say, nitrogen or not. So we're going to cover all that in the next segment. Hutcast is into this at, where are we at here? 22 minutes, 27 seconds. And we'll be back shortly. I got to take a trip for my sponsors here. Again, Hutcast, we'll be right back. Stand by.
In today's busy world, staying healthy and alert have become essential for those of us who want to get the most out of ourselves. So before you reach for that energy drink, ask yourself, are you really giving your body the best? If you want the energy without the jitters that commonly come from today's most popular energy drinks, then reach for something better. Reach for Super Fuel. Super Fuel is made by Casmo Incorporated. Super Fuel is a healthy boost. Super Fuel is made with vitamins B6, B12, and taurine, that is a amino acid that aids in weight loss and protects heart tissue. Beetroot powder and other healthy ingredients that will give you a quick, healthy boost. Make Super Fuel a great tasting, low-calorie addition to your daily regimen. Super Fuel by Casmo Incorporated. It can be ordered by visiting our website at www.superfuel.me or calling 833-383-5912. That's right, Super Fuel by Casmo Incorporated at www.superfuel.me or calling 833-383-5912. Super Fuel.
Okay, we're back. Had to take a break for my sponsors, and we're starting to elevate our sponsors here. We're getting a lot of time with. Well, the more episodes, the more sponsors you get. The more sponsors you get, the more they want bigger companies to come out and sponsor with you. So our Podcorn through sponsorship is starting to get some traction. Again, thanks to all the listeners we've had. We're going to go into next a what to bring on a long trip. Well, depends on what you're driving. Okay, so we can tell you what we bring, but we're in a bus and we're 35 feet and we've got pretty much everything with us. What people don't remember to bring sometimes are the simple things. How do you change a tire? Do you have a tire? Do you have a tire with you that's your size? RVs don't give you a lot of room to put stuff. Especially in a bus mode, but a lot of guys take just the empty tire with them and they throw it in the coach because it's without a rim and it ain't 500 pounds and you can do something with it out in the world. If you can't change it, which most people can't, you can hire a company who won't have your tire, but you will have your tire, and then you can have them switch it out for you. Okay, tires number one. Always get a chance to fill up. Here's my golden rule. If I have a chance to fill up, I'd rather do that than need to fill up. Whether it's propane, whether it's diesel fuel, whether it's water, I don't care, whether it's groceries. Always keep your rig topped off. Because sometimes you're going to be in a spot where you're going to be in BFE, and that's Egypt, by the way, and you're going to need something. You ain't going to have a station, especially if you travel the south where there's, big interstates, but no small roads. And that small road, you're going to be nowhere, and you're going to be out of gas or fuel, and you're going to go, hey, maybe I should have filled up when I had a chance. Take the time, people. Fill your stuff up, top it off, so when you run, you don't ever have to worry about, gee, I should have filled up. Just a word to the wise. Long trip. Big rigs tall, remember you are. Okay, so, reading my show notes. You are the bottom of the food chain out there. And that's not a rhetorical thing. That's a real thing. So if you counted how many trucks you drive by or you cruise control next to while they're trying to do something because they got to move over because there's somebody on the side of the road and you're playing mahjong or some crap, you are in a bad situation. It's a very dangerous spot for you. Big rig, side rig, little rig, car rig, doesn't matter what you drive. If you're in that spot, it's a tough spot. You don't want to be there. Because when they move that big truck over, and sometimes they have to, they're going to push you off. So when I say you're bottom of the food chain, that's pretty real. Because you don't weigh 80,000 pounds pushing guys around. You weigh 4,000 or 5,000 pounds. If you're a car, you're a truck with an RV, you're going to weigh 10, 12, 15,000. If you're another bus, you're going to weigh 20, 30,000, maybe 40,000. But even the buses don't weigh 80,000 when they're loaded. So get out of the way. Move over. Or get in front of them or get behind them. Yeah. All right, second thing, moving on, long trip. Before you go, run a DOT number on your tires. Now, a DOT number is usually a stamped, burnt-in process right around the bead of the tire. Look at the manufacturer, enter your code, or figure out what their decipher code is, and understand that in a big rig, if you're on 5 years or greater, you're on borrowed time. 5 years for a tire is a long time for sitting. And in my last segment, you heard me say about all the carcasses on the road, the road snakes, ding ding. Well, semi guys, they don't care. They just run them until they blow apart and keep going. They probably don't even own the van they're hooked to. But us guys, me and you, it's pretty real. Because like mine's a 22.5 series tire. That's a lot of inches. If it starts to delaminate, it's going to kick the snot out of everything around it. It's going to like whip it. And you don't want to be in that spot. Because it's not what the tire, it's what it takes out in the process. I've seen a lot of guys come through our shop. Yeah, I lost a tire. You didn't lose a tire. You lost half your car, or your RV, or whatever you're in. So check your DOT codes. If you're 5 years or greater, burn the tire, move on. It ain't worth sitting on the road and damaging your car and risking your life because you want to be a Ferengi. Ferengi's a Star Trek term, by the way. And look it up. You can't insult them as long as you're talking money. Ferengi. All right. Nitrogen. Had a conversation in my Tennessee KOA camp, which, by the way, was an awesome campsite in KOA, Tennessee, and it was just cool. Total coolness. Highly recommended. Nitrogen, fill your tires or not. So this guy says, of course, I was sitting there minding my own business looking at his tires. I don't know what his problem was, but I was looking at his tires. You see the green caps and you go, hey, dude, how's this nitrogen work for you? Yeah, I still got to add air. So the reason we put nitrogen in tires, people, is that nitrogen is an inert gas. It is a noble gas of inertness, so that it can't either gain heat by temperature of the resistance of the air itself. It is merely just an inert gas. So you put it in your tires. It's a thicker molecule. It's designed less to permeate rims leak, bead leaks. Take your pick, whatever leak it is. It's designed. It's a heavier atom. So this nitrogen, he says, I would love to be out on the road and enjoy a full nitrogen package, but his TPMSs are flagging off. They're still building heat. And if they're still building heat, the nitrogen, of course, passes at the pressure. Pressure turns it into heavier tires, kind of like all the carcasses that we're seeing on the road. Maybe they pull them at a good 120 pounds empty cold. Well, by the time they hit 150 degrees to 160 degrees, they're up, they're hot. And when you start taking a 22.5 tire and you start pressuring on the inside heavier, it starts to expand and get big. Well, that expansion is going to go directly into the lamination of the surface of the tire and the carcass of the tire underneath that. So there's a process there. Old tires get hard. It's called a durometer value, a DR. They've got R1s, R2s. Anything to do with the hardness of that tire is actually in that composition of the material. At a time when the material is virgin, not 5, 10, 15 years old. Look at your tires. If you're one of those guys say, I got a ton of tires, and you got a 10-year-old rig, you're the guy who keeps AAA in business. Good for you. I don't care about the tires. If I'm going to go on a trip, I'm getting good rubber, and I'm not going to be on the side of the road. You have enough things to fight, like nails and debris and the accidents in front of you that you got to get around and not punk a tire with it. So, watch your DOT codes. Nitrogen, he said, was a kind of a win, but you can't fill it nowhere. He got his tires at a, Sam's Club. Sam's Club is big for pushing nitrogen, but you can't fill it with air nowhere. Eventually they do leak, and now you're back to normal air. Well, now you're pushing heat, and then you're pushing pressure in a tire. That's just, Okay. Tools needed on the road to change your tires. Don't forget those. Remember, we had a discussion about Polish jacks. Let's say you're pulling a trailer. You got a double axle. You get a small ramp kit. You drive up on it. You change the tire. It's flat. Of course, you drive up on the good tire. Duh. So the Polish jack is a good thing out on the road. Doesn't help your tow vehicle. Your tow vehicle still have to have a jack because there's nothing else you can do. Yeah. Okay. We are like 9 minutes into this second segment, and I wanna cover the gal who got her head cut off. I mean, how do you even say it? How do you say it? And here's why I'm going to say this for this reason, for this, I told you we'd do it with some character here and not put this poor family through anything more, especially if they listen to this cast. First of all, I'm sorry that you went through this, your family. And for those people out there, I mean, here's why, again, I'm bringing this up. I saw the video of this before it got taken down. I mean, literally, it was minutes up, and I saw this video, and I grabbed the video because I couldn't believe my eyes. I downloaded it and saved it so that when Hatebook or somebody else take it down, and I understand why they do that. I mean, there's still a family with this gal, 55-year-old gal, cute as button, and to see this take place was quite disturbing, to say the least. It was very disturbing. And this gal who gets thrown out of a car like it's a sack of potatoes without her head on, and this piece of shit, pardon the French, this piece of Shakopee who did this and threw her out was incredible. It was incredible. Now, all I could think of when I watched this video was listen to the gal who was taking the video. And I don't think I want to post this for you guys to see it on the web. You're going to have to find it yourself because I think it's in poor taste to transmit this thing. But I kept hearing her say, "Oh my God, I can't believe this happened. This can't be happening. This isn't real. This isn't." And she's saying this while she's zooming in and getting a different angle, and kudos to her if she can videotape this. My thing here is that now she can actually show the world what this puke did, which is probably a very hard thing to do for her. But she still recorded it. Again, everybody's got a camera in their hand all the time. And she got it, and it's kind of granulated video, but she did this, and it's a bittersweet, but she did it, and now she can give this families some justice. So again, good for her. Here's why again I bring this up. If anybody you know me, you know that I'm a big 2A guy, and you probably know where I'm going with this. But for the guys who haven't listened yet to me, when you have a permit to carry and you have a permit to acquire, you carry a pistol, whether it's open carry, whatever it is, You have this in your hands. You have that ultimate power to stop, do something, to whatever your judgment calls for. Now, I don't know what if this person had a weapon on her, if she would have stopped this guy. I mean, it was kind of too late from what I saw in the video. Her head was already off her body. He threw her out of the car, probably because he was bleeding all over his car. And this happened in Shakopee, Minnesota. It's not Shakopee, it's not Shakopee, it's Shakopee, Minnesota. And I don't believe you'll find the video. If you really need to see it, again, you're going to have to do some digging, because I think everybody's taking it off there. It's a snuff film. And, no offense or buts. I mean, it was he out killed her. A crazy video. Now, if you were in that spot, and you have to think very long and hard about this, because we live in a society that, even though this guy made a mistake and killed this girl and cut her head off, it was society's fault. You know how they're going to twist that and turn that around. Well, bull hockey on that. Are you the guy that does the videoing? Are you the guy that takes the weapon and stops this guy? Even if it's too late, do you stop him? Do you subdue him? This is the question that everybody has in defense carry. Now, defense means defense on one person, oneself. You. You're defending yourself. But do you defend someone else? The law is very clear. It is not your job to defend someone else. That's the police's job. But do you? Are you that guy who says, hey, I know you're not killing me, so don't come at me. I have a gun. I will use it if you kill me. But when you're done with her, could you, stop? No way, no how, no way. But at what cost? At what cost do you play the hero? Do you play the villain? What is your role at that point? And there's a lot of guys, that pump their chest up. Oh, I'd take them out. I'd snipe them. I don't think so. Because, at the personal cost of your freedom, she's already dead. So really, it's a justice move. Now you're a vigilante because you want to stop this guy. Let's say you pop around in him and you take him out. Are you now the hero? Or are you now the villain because this poor individual, this piece of crap, for whatever reason, we won't know the reason. I mean, he's on video. I mean, the blood was incredible. And I guess if you hit an artery and there's two of them and the head's off, I mean, it's coming out. I mean, I'm no doctor, but I can only imagine what those guys go through when they nick an artery and everything turns to crap. But this poor gal, I don't know the story behind it, but it was kind of a tough way to go. Reminds me of that reporter in the jihad, cut his head off, and they did that. That was a snuff film, and that was very disturbing. And that was a political version, a reason for them to do that. I don't know. So ask yourself a question. Are you that guy that stands there and films it, or gal, if you're that gal, or if you're that whatever that you are, or do you engage to stop? I don't know of any court in the world that would convict you, but you would have to go through the crap sandwich in the process. So, that's what I was thinking when I watched that video. How can you stop this? How do you put the brakes on this puke who did this? Or at that point, when she's already dead, her head's 3 feet away from her body. Her shoulders are there. She's half torn, stripped off torso. Feet are just kind of hanging there. Are you that guy? Because I would have to hope and believe and pray that I would be that guy that would stop this. Or deter it, or deflect it, or whatever your adjective's going to be. It's one of those things where it's no longer self-defense, it's justice. So, this is the reason for I brought this up, because in our next bunch of episodes here, I don't know how many it's going to be, there's going to be some, we're going to have an instructor, a guy who trains SWAT, a guy who trains people, a guy who trains. His whole goal here is to train you in the situations such as this. And this mini-series, we're going to try and push them out one in a week. We're going to do 2 every recordings of 1 in 2 days, and we'll try and do this chronologically. So when you hear this mini-series show, keep in mind this gal and the person recording this. And what would you do? What would you engage this guy with? Consider this. Anytime you have a 5-foot guy and a 10-foot guy, the 5-foot guy is going to have this automatic I'm at disability. But what we call that is it's a combat multiplier, and that's what your pistol is. That's what your weapon is. And he brings a knife, you bring a gun. He brings a gun, you bring a bazooka. You get it? He brings a bazooka, you bring a tank. And that's how you stay in a one-up deal. You want to be one-up. This gal had nothing. The puke had a knife, cut her head off. So she couldn't. I don't know if she could or couldn't, but I mean, there's still, and this is still pretty fresh out there. And again, if your family is listening, my heart goes out to you. And know that if I was in that situation, that I hope and pray that I would have engaged this puke and ended this, or brought you some justice with bringing him to the police, or stopping or subduing, whatever it takes to stop this animal, to do that. And you think, oh, this only happens in third world countries. Well, how's Shakopee, Minnesota sound? It ain't too third world country to me. Matter of fact, it's about 15, 20 miles from me, and this crap happened. Okay. So, again, for Hutcast, thank you for listening. Again, we got some great, huge numbers, and I totally didn't expect it, but it's out there. And stay tuned for next time. We're going to have some pretty interesting stuff, and he'll be in the studio with us. So we'll get some pretty good intel out of this guy, and we'll throw this scenario at him. So again, for Hutcast, thanks for listening. It is 7/30/2021, and that is our show date. So be well, all. Have a good one.
And that's a wrap for Hutcast. Hutcast is, again, a pragmatic approach to seeing things how some people see them. If you like our show, give us a thumbs up on the Facebook site. Again, for Hutcast, thank you again. Have a wonderful evening.